Okay, again, I'm Jolicar B Maranga, and I'm currently the assistant for school systems. Yes, we develop our own systems in-house, and also um, I also teach in the computer engineering, in the engineering department and computer science department. Sometimes CS-related courses and also mobile app development. So this afternoon, I'm going to share with you about the overview of Android mobile app development from design to deployment. So, okay. I would like to start with this quote, this one. Mobile app development is a multifaceted beast. So this is from one of the books I've read when I was still starting. It struck me the most because during that time, I was not sure on what it what it really meant. And when I started development in the mobile app development already, along the way, especially during teaching, I realized that this is one of the most accurate codes regarding mobile app development. When we develop mobile apps, we might encounter a lot of things and lots of different languages and different tools. And we might see ourselves jumping from one scripting language, from one tool to another. We don't worry too much about that because Google has also lots of things and tools that can help you with the development. Also, because of how big the world of mobile app development is, we cannot thoroughly discuss everything right here now. Also, the stages and phases that I'll be sharing are not absolute. These are not the only way to do this. So, some people might have their own way, or some companies might have their own phases in the development. I can share with you um, what you most likely will encounter, especially when you start developing your first app. Okay. So before we go to the design, we have to know what we should design first, right? So formulating the idea, keeping one, and executing one. So where can we possibly get an app idea? Okay, we can get it probably based on problems and challenges that we might encounter, or maybe problems of your friends and family members that a mobile app can solve. So that's one source of idea. I'd like to share with you last year during the lockdown. So only my husband was allowed to go out and do the groceries. So what I did, I wanted to help him in the groceries. So what I did was a simple mobile application that lists the grocery items that I want to buy. And I've also included a simple map of the grocery store because I don't want him to look for an item for hours when I already know where it's located, right? So that's a source of an idea. Another source could be a demand or market vacuum. So for example, you can think of something that people want right now. So you think of what do the public or users want now that is not readily available in the market. So you can address it by developing an app for that. Okay. And we never underestimate the power of reading. So read from articles, online books, because they might also information or insights regarding an app idea. Now, if you have an app idea, for example, especially those students and other people that shares their idea with me, one of the challenge or most common challenges and worries is that that app already exists. So they're a little bit scared that the app is already there in the market. So I always tell them that no, it's okay if there's a similar app. Of course, if you will do an exactly the same application, then it might be questionable. But the question should really be, what is the difference between your idea compared to that app in the market? So, for example, if you have additional value that you can give to the users or to the public, then I think it's a good, no, it's good to pursue that app idea, even though similar ones exist. We always remember that Google is not the first search engine, right? So even though there are lots of search engines during that time, they still develop this. So similarly, if the app is existing, you can still develop that. And also, one of the worries is that I don't want to share or discuss it with anyone, because I always tell them to ask people about their idea, because it's good if you have insights from other people, you have a different view of the app. Now, if you don't really want to share that, that's okay, or you can make non-disclosure agreement if you want. But for me, the app idea is just a small portion of the actual mobile application project. So for me, it's okay to share it with somebody. So my challenge for you right now is to think of a mobile app. What is it that you want to develop? Or what idea or what problem would you like to uh, address? Maybe later after this event or tomorrow you start planning regarding that app. So speaking of planning, this is like building a house. We don't go directly coding it. That's one common mistake. Um, it's easier to erase from paper or hit backspace than revise blocks of codes, right? So we plan for example, the name of your app, the tagline, your target users or your target market, so who will use your app, the contents of your app, the color theme, not necessarily your favorite color, but if you want, then it will be okay, but not necessarily your favorite color. Um, this one, the monetization. So I'd like to include how to monetize my app, even though, for example, the grocery app, I don't really plan to sell it. But during the planning and design, I would like to think, how can I monetize it? Because if we gain money or if we receive money from it, why not, diba? So it's good to include it in the planning phase, in the design phase as well. Google has some monetization strategies. We have the free and paid app versions model. So this one, the user can download your app for free, but if they want to use certain features and functions, then you might ask for some payment. Like, this is also called the premium membership model. So they will pay before accessing those additional features. There's also the free app with in-app purchases model. So similarly, app download for free. And then if they want to, for example, they want to dress their character or they want to advance to a level, they will buy something from your app. And also the free app with subscription model. So download the app for free, but for them to be able to use it or to fully utilize it, they have to be subscribed. Another thing is the paid app model. Now this one, when they download their app or your app, if they download it, they will have to pay for it first. So if you want to have this strategy, we make sure that your app is, really needed to the point that they are really willing to pay for it. Okay. So there's also a partnership model. This one, companies might approach you or you might, approach some companies that you know for sponsorship opportunities to get their brand, their products on your mobile application. Okay. So for designing, you can use FSD. This is a simple functional document, functional specification document, where you write the details of your app, your master plan, your overview of your app, the functions that you want to put. And you can also create a user flow diagram. This is really helpful, especially to know um, what will happen after a user taps something, or when a user selects a button, what will happen next. So the user flow diagram can address that. Or any format that you are comfortable of, you can use anything. If you want to put it on the paper, as long as you're comfortable with it, then go, you can do that. Then you can sketch your wireframe and you can design your mock-up. So for the wireframe, this is like low fidelity images or representation of your app. These are like stencils. You can draft a quick wireframe on paper. Similarly, on the grocery app, I just drew it on the paper and then later on coded it. So it's good to have an idea of your app even before coding it. We also have some useful tools. You can use pop tools, so you can check this later or maybe tomorrow. Um, you can check Marvel app. This one is, you can see the mobile app, sorry, your wireframe in your mobile phone without having to code your mobile app first. So this is a really cool tool, pop tools. Or if you don't want to use that, you can use wireframing tools like Framer or Figma. So you can do wireframe there. And also mock-ups. We can have, it's better to really have mock-ups. These are high fidelity representation of your design, and it looks like the real thing already. So you have an idea on what your app will look like, okay, on your phone or on the tablet. So for mock-ups, we have some mock-up software, like mockups.com, Figma. I've been using these tools. And also, if you're a programmer, you can go directly to Android Studio IDE. So I also do this. After my wireframe sketch, I go to the IDE and do the mockups there. It's really, really, for example, if you are not yet coding in mobile apps, it's really friendly. So the Android Studio IDE is free to download and very user friendly. Even if you don't have programming experience, you can just drag and drop elements. If you want text fields there, buttons, then you will have the mock-ups of your site. So there's no real functionality yet, but it's still good to, preview your app on the phone, on the device. Okay. So for the designing tools, if you feel so disheartened because you don't know how to design, but you really want to do your app, there are tools from Google. This one is the material design. You can access that in material.io. They give you material design guidelines. So this is like telling you what can be done to have a um, good app with good user interface, and for the users to have good user experience when interacting with your app. They also have list of components that you can use and guides on which component to use. Then regarding icons, they have articles about icons, what icons to use, and the sizes of icons. And they also have material components for the web, accessibility guidelines, and developer tutorials. So material design is relatively new, but it's very helpful. For example, if you don't have coding experience, zero programming experience, the developer tutorials and the material design tools are really helpful for people who want to get into mobile app development. Okay, this is one example of the design tool from material.io. This is the color palette chooser. So if you feel like you don't know how to choose colors, just like me, don't worry because Google has a tool in material.io to help you with that. So they have this color palette chooser to help you with your primary, secondary, and other colors in your app. So the goal is to have a good, good app that looks good to the users. So you can use that. Okay, planning is basically organizing your thoughts and realizing a lot of things along the way. So I really encourage you to plan. Sometimes it's overwhelming, especially if there are lots of things that you want to put in your app. And what may be helpful is that you start with the MVP, where your app has its core functionalities first. So the minimum viable product to get your app running. And for things or features that can wait, don't dismiss the idea. Don't disregard that feature. You can write it on your document in your FSD. And then later on, you can go back to that. And you already have a plan for updates on your app, right? Okay. Now we go to the programming, the app development. This is the programming and implementation stage or phase of your app. So for the programming, you might choose to hire app development company. They are experts in their field. They have a team to take care of your app. They can also give important insights. So I used to work for a development company, although not mobile app, but software development company before. And then upon the consultation stage or phase, the company might give you some useful insights that you can use in your project. They are also quite expensive because they maintain, operational costs and all, but some companies may adjust to your budget as well. Okay, so if you don't want companies, you can hire freelance app developers or freelancers. So you can find these freelancers from freelancing websites like Upwork, or maybe you know someone that can code and you can give the app idea to them, and then and your design, and then they will code it for you. Or maybe from network of friends. Just be careful with the freelancers. I mean, there are lots of good freelancers out there. We also freelance before. What I say is that be careful in choosing one because you'll be exposing your whole plan to them, to the freelancer. Usually, for the payment, they can be paid by hour or by milestone. For example, one milestone, they will show it to you, and then after that, you will send the payment to them. Okay. Or if you don't want to hire companies and develop your app, you can develop your app. You can develop the app yourself. So it's relatively cheaper because you're the one who's going to do it. It's highly customizable and it's fun. I know I encourage you to try it. It's really fun, doing something and then looking at it on the phone gives you a certain kind of accomplishment. So Google can guide you when you want to develop your app. They have these code labs for practices. They have developer that google.com for tutorials, and similarly they are friendly for to users or to people who didn't have programming background. And there are also lots of tools, for example, Flutter and Xamarin to help you develop apps faster. Even if you don't want to code the app yourself, it's always a good idea to learn how to code. you can still benefit from it. So I really highly encourage you to do that, to learn how to code. And for example, you have features and functionalities you want to put in your app. You will have a rough estimate on how long will it take to code it or how much will it cost, right? Because you know how to code. Okay. Now, when your app is already developed, it's always good to have a separate testing phase or testing stage for your app. Even if you installed it in your phone, it you will find that it's really a lot different once you start testing it. You know, once you focus on testing it, we don't want bad user experience when you put your app in the Play Store and then users will find bugs and then rate you. So we don't want that. So testing is very, I highly recommend testing. And you can test it yourself. For example, you can use AppTeam or the Firebase Crash Analytics. You can even use your own test scenarios. There are lots of templates online for testing scenarios and how to test your app. Or maybe you want app companies to test your app or hire freelancers, so freelance testers. And maybe you can have your friends and relatives test it. And also find what I call perfect strangers. So these are people that can test your app um, supposedly for free, or maybe you can give them something. But these are people maybe from your followers in Twitter or your friends in Facebook or from the Facebook group that you are in, and then you can post your app there and then tell them to test it for you and then give feedback. For example, maybe they encounter bugs along the way, right? Okay. So once the app is thoroughly tested and you feel like you are really comfortable with it already, so you can already deploy. So this is the app deployment, the launching and releasing of your mobile app. So when deploying, you can choose to distribute the APK or this is like the executable format or the runnable format of your mobile app. You can choose to email that or send that to people, but still, the Play Store is the best source of app downloads, especially if you want the public to use your mobile app. So you put it on Play Store. So if you don't know how to put it on Play Store, don't worry also because Google has they have these best practices. They can recommend on how you can improve your graphics, so graphics optimization. They provide you guide on how to optimize your graphics, screenshots, and videos for your store listing. And also, they recommend pre-registration campaign. So this is like your app is not yet developed, but you already have a list of people, preferably their email addresses or maybe contact numbers, but usually email addresses. They will sign up, and then once your app is already available in Play Store, you can notify them, and of course, maybe they will download it. Okay, they also recommend stage rollouts. So this one is very helpful, especially um, for apps for updates in your app. For example, you have your you have updates or the next version of your app, and then you can select a percentage of the population of your users who can receive that update. So example, 5% of the population will have your update. So this is helpful because if you have bugs in the updates, only a small percentage of the population will experience that bug, and you can have the time to fix it, and then later on roll out to a higher percentage. Okay. So they also have this managed publishing. For example, you want to set the timing of your app updates. For example, you want to set the date of the updates with an event. For example, Mother's Day event. You want your app to be updated on that day. So you can use their managed publishing. And there are apps that may be subject to expanded or longer reviews, especially those apps that targets children. Google will review that thoroughly, but they will provide you guide on how to plan and prepare for these kinds of app reviews. Okay, so once your app is out there, then of course we market it. We want people to use it. We ask our colleagues, friends, family, neighbors, everyone to download it. The more, the merrier. So, encourage them to use it. You can also use marketing intelligence like Sensor Tower or App Annie for the mobile apps. These tools will tell you how is your baby doing out there. So they will tell you your statistics, the downloads, and will even give you insights on how you can have more downloads. Of course, we provide great user experience or UX to the user, because once the user loves to use your app, they will highly recommend it to other people. And that's a form of marketing already. So you can also have keyword suggestion tool, because once you put your app there, you might find it difficult to think about the keywords. So App Tweak can help you with that. Or maybe you want to use the reverse dictionary. We have one example, which is One Look. The reverse dictionary is not really, this is not an antonym. This is like providing you words that is or words that are similar to the keyword that you are targeting. For example, your app is about water. The reverse dictionary can give you like irrigation, water bottles, or rain, something like that. So you have an idea on what keywords to use for your app. So my question is, what app will you start now? So what app idea would you like to pursue? And maybe what kind of mobile app would you like to start developing? Probably later after the event or tomorrow. And I hope that this talk gives you courage to create and start creating more Android apps. So again, I'm Jolicar Jet Maranga. They call me Jet. If you have app ideas that you want to share, you can reach me here in the my email, or send me messages, and then let's see how can I help you with your idea. And I think that's all, and thank you.